Hello! In this video I want to share with you some exercises from 20 practice routines for classical guitar. The exercises I'm going to share with you are particularly good at solving technical problems on the classical guitar. As a teacher online, I've worked at Classical Guitar Corner Academy for around 15 years now, and as I've worked with thousands of people, and there's certain exercises that translate very well online, very well through a screen, and are helpful at solving technical problems. The first exercise I want to share with you addresses the problem of fingers flying away from the fingerboard, excess movement that gets in our way of accuracy and consistency. It also addresses left-hand position. Maybe you've collapsed to the left-hand side. This happens a lot if you've come from chord playing or your thumb is poking up above in other styles of guitar. Classical guitar repertoire asks a lot from our left hand, a lot of dexterous movement, a lot of complex movement. So we need a very stable and efficient left hand technique to play this type of music. So this exercise we do in 5th position because the frets are a little closer together, and I call it perfect placement. It's very simple. We start with the first finger, 5th fret, 3rd string on C. And after that I just want you to align each finger in sequence on the same string. Now as we place our fingers down, we want to align them perfectly up against the fret wire. So they're right up against the fret wire, not back in the fret, but snug up against. That will help with any buzzing sounds. We also want to make sure that the 4th finger is balanced on the outside of the finger. It's tilted towards the saddle. The 1st finger is also on the outside of the finger, but it's tilted towards the nut, to the headstock. The middle 2 fingers, 2 and 3, are more or less perpendicular. So we have a nice balanced hand. What we want to do is, that's our left hand position, and what will train our fingers to be close to the fingerboard, nice and efficient, is if we walk our fingers 1, slowly, 2, keep the fingers down, 3, keep the fingers down, 4, nice curled fingertips, and then let's move our fingers to an adjacent string, but keep all the fingers down that you're not using. So we put 1 on the 4th string, 1, move 2, move 3, move 4. Keep walking down the 5th string, 1, 2, 3, 4. Having all 4 fingers down helps stabilize the hand position. Having the fingers down as we go along each string helps to keep the fingers nice and close. So you can walk 1, 2, 3, 4 slowly from 6th to 1st position. The only thing you have to watch as you come to the first string is that you keep the fingers nice and curled. Curled, curled. As opposed to this, where we bring our wrist out and we have a lot of space between our hand and the fingerboard. Bring that hand in so that our arm is nice and straight and the fingers are nice and curled. So just walking 1, 2, 3, 4 from 6, I can't speak and do it at the same time. Fixing the fingers down as we go. I'm playing fast just to demonstrate. You can do this nice and slowly and controlled. Now the next step up from this exercise is then to ask your fingers not to be held down, but rather to do what I call piston movement, like pistons in an engine. That's where one finger plays, the other fingers are hovering above the strings, ready to play. Then the 2nd finger plays, 1st finger comes up, 3rd finger plays, other fingers come up. So that exercise of fixing the fingers to the string has taught the fingers to be nice and close to the string and efficient, so that when we do play with this piston movement, they stay aligned, ready to play the next fret. That way we can have very efficient hand movement when we play more complex music like this. Etc. Okay, so that's number 1. That addresses hand position and also finger consistency and efficiency. The second exercise is about right hand weight and balancing chord voicing. In classical guitar we have many instances where we have to either bring out a melody on top or in the bass. Or sometimes even in the middle. That's my little middle voice improvisation. So in order to do that, we need an exercise where we can practice accenting certain fingers in our hand and also softening and making the other fingers gentle at the same time. This allows the voice to come out nice and clearly. So what we can do is simply take an arpeggio. For the example for us to share, I'll just use a static chord. E, G sharp, open B, open E. So 2, 1, open, open. Fourth string through the first. And in the right hand, we're going to play P-I-M, A-M-I. We repeat this figure, and as we repeat it, we start to identify an individual finger in each hand that we're going to bring out an accent. So let's say the thumb is going to get the accent, and all of the other fingers stay soft. Let's now try the A finger, a very common one for melody. The middle two fingers, I and M, are actually quite tricky because they're in the middle of those voices. But we can still do them, and if we slow down the arpeggio, it can help quite a lot. So we can go P, I. Again, we're not only playing that particular finger a little louder, putting a bit more energy and follow through into it, we're also playing the other fingers as softly as we can. Let's try M. Now in the practice routines, I've actually provided a little chord progression that you can play so that you can hear the voices moving as you change the accents. Let me just play you an example. This is from practice routines with E major chord progression. Obviously the thumb coming out now. Let's bring out the A finger. I'll play a little faster. Now just for a challenge, I'll play one of the inner voices. I'll play the M finger. Now, if you want to really challenge your right hand voicing, you can also do this in a block chord formation. We have this also in the practice routines in another one, but we can take essentially the same progression, and instead of arpeggiating the figure, we play block chords. And this opens up a whole different world of challenge, but we do find this in the repertoire. So for example, the thumb. Then we change to the A finger. Back to thumb. Let me try the I finger. The middle two are really quite tricky, but they can be done. So it's a really wonderful exercise for training your ability to balance your hand and use voicing in the chords that you play. Okay, exercise number 3. Slurs appear throughout all of our music. Slurs can be used for musical purposes, to phrase, to lilt between notes, to connect notes. They can also be used for technical purposes, to play nice and fast and legato without using so many right hand movements. Two main problems that come up with slurs. are addressed by this one exercise. And it's very, very simple, but it's very effective. And that is when we have pairs of slurs that we're practicing. Could be 2-1, could be 2-3, could be 4-3, could be all sorts of permutations. But what tends to happen is two things. One, the rhythm gets lopsided because slurs are fast. So they tend to be lopsided like this, fast, instead of even slurs, which we need. The other problem is that between two notes, one plucked and one slurred, there's often a dynamic or volume discrepancy, being loud, plucked, and then almost nothing slurred. Now, I'm not going to go into the actual technique of slurs here, but what you can do to address both of these issues is to play two notes, articulated with the right hand, and then the same two notes slurred. And in doing so, you benchmark yourself. You can hear correct rhythm and correct sound, and then try and replicate it with the slur. Play, play, slur. Play, play, slur. Play, play, slur. Of course, this can work with ascending or groups of slurs as well. So use that to benchmark your slurs, and it will make a great improvement, especially in the rhythm. I've noticed this is very impactful. All right, number 4 is fixed finger slurs. So slurs are challenging enough on their own, but in our repertoire, what we have is often a finger that is held down. So it might look like something like this. We have fingers held down, yet we still have to slur with the other available fingers. So there's an exercise that works specifically on this challenging technique, and that is we fix one finger. Let's say we put the second finger on the C sharp, which is 6th fret, 3rd string, and then with the remaining fingers we're going to do slurs. So on the 4th string here I'll do 1, 3, 3, 4. All that time that second finger's down, not doing anything, just staying down. Makes the challenge that much greater. And then we can move the fingers to the 2nd string. To even more challenge, we can go to the 5th string and the 1st. Now, that isn't the only fixed finger. Of course, we could fix any number of fingers. So we could do 1 and do something similar. Or we could fix 4. With these types of exercises, you really are best to spend the time on the ones that give you the most difficulty. They're the ones that need more work. If something's very easy for you, you don't really need to practice that much. Focus in on ones that are giving you a lot of trouble. So maybe 2, 4, for example, you could fix 1 and 3. That's a really challenging one, 2 and 4, as an example. So this fixed finger slur exercise from the 20 practice routines allows you to zoom in on a really challenging element of slurs, and that is the other fingers being fixed. Okay, exercise number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Speed bursts. These are something that you may have come across in other exercises. I first came across them in Scott Tennant's Pumping Nylon. But what I like about them is that they're going to tie into the next exercise really nicely. So speed bursts involve playing longer durations, faster, or shorter I should say, increasingly short, so we can practice having these bursts of speed and then relaxing the hand again so we don't get too tense and tied up in the hand. But you might notice that I'm doing something else in the right hand, and that is staccato technique. So staccato just means detached. And what we're doing in the right hand is, as I'm alternating between I and M, I to M, I'm bringing down the next finger very early. And what this does is it trains the right hand to stay nice and close to the strings, and we get this preparation in the right hand, which is what we're going to talk about in the next exercise. And in doing so, we train the fingers to come right back to the string very quickly. And get faster and faster with the metronome. So we're training our hand not only to relax as we play the longer durations, but we're also training our fingers to be really close and efficient near the string so that we can remove any excess movement that's getting in the way of us playing fast and accurate. Now, I said that staccato technique applies to the next exercise from the 20 practice routines, and that is right hand preparation. So this solves a problem of, we talked about left hand fingers flying away. Well, this is also right hand fingers that perhaps aren't finding the strings accurately, or you have struggle hitting the wrong strings, or they're not quick enough, or you have a rhythmic problem. And whenever that comes up, I use right hand preparation exercises. So this exercise starts off with chords. Once again, I add in a chord progression because it makes it more interesting. What you can see is that as I play the thumb, the block chord comes down. As I play the block chord, the thumb comes down in preparation, right hand preparation. Now this concept gets a little bit confusing sometimes for people, so I always go back to staccato. We just did this, right? And that same movement, when you put it over two strings, becomes right hand preparation. It's exactly the same movement, but now that it's on two strings, we don't get the staccato effect. Rather, we get a preparation. So, same idea. Putting in chords just to add interest. Of course, we can vary up our preparation. So this exercise has all these different variations. So the next one would be descending. Same chord progression. What I'm doing is A plays, M prepares. M plays, I prepares. I plays, P prepares. P plays, A prepares. It's all in sequence. And over time, this exercise trains the right hand to be accurate, close to the strings, and very much in control. And we have other iterations as well. They're all different formulations of that same preparation technique. So if you're having trouble with your right hand fingers not finding the strings or flying away, then right hand preparation exercises are fantastic for you. The final exercise, which I think is an amazingly powerful exercise to develop left hand independence and also left hand preparation, is the chromatic octave scale. So an octave scale, or sorry, a chromatic scale, E, F, F sharp, G sharp, we go up in semitones one at a time. But if we're going to play those in octaves, it brings a very specific challenge to the left hand. E an octave higher. F and F, F sharps, G sharps, etc. We go through the whole octave scale. We can even go up the third and first string. But what this is focusing in on is the fact that we play two notes, let's say the two E's. And we're not focusing on the E's, we're actually focusing on the next pair of notes that are about to be played. We're preparing the left hand, ready to go. So in every movement we think about the upcoming movement, E and E. Then 1 and 3 are ready over the frets where they're about to play. We play the 1 and 3, the F's, then immediately we get 2 and 4 ready to go. It's hard to do in isolation. As soon as we play that, we get the 3 ready for the G. See this? This is getting ready for G sharps. I'm even moving my hand position a little bit. And A, second finger tucked in. B flat's ready. There's a very spider-like movement that happens in the left hand. Now, this develops great left hand independence because all of those little tucks and rotations you see happen all the time in our repertoire. Perhaps not in such a congested, compact manner, but that's what this exercise is for. The other thing is that if you've ever had the curiosity of why the great players make things look so easy, it's because they're constantly preparing their hand for where it's about to go. And in doing so, the hand starts to dance over the fingerboard rather than jump and hop and feel like you're catching up all the time. So if you're playing octaves like this, and these fingers are not ready to go, then you have to go sudden, sudden. And you have to move your arm position, you have to move the fingers. That creates a break in the music. That also makes things just more difficult. So, preparation for each pair of notes. Do it slowly at first, and then over time this preparation becomes habitual. You don't have to think about it, like so many other things on the guitar. It's actually one of my favorite exercises to develop left hand independence, left hand movement, and to warm up, because it really gives a great warm up for your left hand. So those are 7 of my most useful and favorite exercises to help students, to help myself solve problems, solve technical problems. If you have an exercise that you find particularly useful, please feel free to share it in the comments below. And maybe we can make another one full of your useful ideas as well. But I hope there's been some interesting ideas for technique in there, something that might help you solve a problem in your next practice session. See you soon.